When you're parenting a child with extra needs, it's hard enough to figure out what to do. But when you and your spouse don't agree on how to do it, the weight can feel overwhelming. Today's episode comes straight from a listener who's wrestling with that exact thing, wanting help, wanting support, and wanting to feel like they're parenting as a team, but there's some tension there. We're going to talk about why this disconnect happens and how you can find clarity, understanding, and unity, even if you're not in the same place right now. So take a deep breath. You're not alone, and there is a path forward. Are you overwhelmed by constant meltdowns, defiance, or challenging behaviors? You longing for peace in your home? You're in the right spot. I'm Jamie, mom of 7, counselor, parent coach, and wrangler of big emotions. I've learned how to calm the chaos and build connection, even when things feel like they're falling apart. If you're looking to connect with your child, find effective parenting tools that honor your family values, and understand your child's unique wiring, you found it here. So pour that coffee, find a quiet spot if you have one of those in your house, and let's get started. Welcome back to the Calm Connection Parenting Podcast. I'm really glad you're here today because this episode speaks to something many parents carry quietly, especially when you're doing your best to support a child with bigger needs and it feels like you and your partner aren't quite in the same place. Maybe it's you and your spouse, maybe it's the co-parent, but this can be a really difficult thing to navigate. If you've ever wondered how you're supposed to move forward together when your perspectives, timelines, or approaches just don't match, I want you to know you're in the right place. So let's get into today's listener question, because I think many of you will hear your own thoughts in this question. My spouse and I can't seem to get on the same page. I feel like I'm gaining all this new information about our child's needs and issues, but I don't always feel like they're doing the same. I find myself researching and seeking out tools that can help us in this difficult journey, but I don't see them doing that with me. I'm struggling because I don't feel like we're working together. How are we going to do this parenting thing well if we can't get on the same page? I feel like we need help and support, but I don't think they share the same perspective. It might work for them to just wait it out and hope everything turns out okay, but that doesn't work for me. I feel like we need help, support, and the right tools to do this well. Why do they seem to resist getting help? And how can I help them understand? Thank you for that question. And while this question is posed often from moms, the dynamic can also be flipped. It truly can go either way. What matters is not who is asking, but the feeling underneath it. And that feeling is sometimes loneliness, concern, worry, a deep desire to do right by your child, but you really have the hope to do it together. Before we talk about what helps in this situation, I want to spend a few minutes talking about why this happens so often. So let me paint this picture. Think about a family on a road trip. Maybe it's that special summer vacation. And at some point, isn't it inevitable, someone realizes the directions aren't clear anymore. One person is ready to pull over and ask for directions immediately. After all, why have frustration, anger, or fear a part of this fun adventure? The other is convinced they can figure it out, maybe with a little trial and error, or a few wrong turns, and just taking your time. After all, they've figured many complicated things out successfully before. Neither person is wrong. They're just wired differently. Well, that same dynamic shows up in parenting, especially if you're raising a child with that intense emotion, behavioral challenges, or developmental needs. And that brings us to 4 common reasons parents often find themselves in very different places, even when they love their child deeply and want the same kind of outcome. Honestly, it showed up very clearly even in my own marriage as we were learning how to parent our child. My personality is very much the let's stop and ask for directions type. In my mind, I think, why lose all this energy and momentum when we know there are people who can help us feel less lost? Information, guidance, and support bring me clarity and calm. My husband, on the other hand, prides himself in being smart, capable, and able to problem solve or fix what's in front of him. He would say he's willing to ask for help, but I also know he's more likely to try a good amount of that trial and error before he feels like it's truly necessary to ask for help. Our personalities are honestly about as different as day and night. He likes that sense of control. I, on the other hand, tend to be more indecisive and struggle to make decisions. I can lead, but I tend to worry more about people and relationships along the way, not just the task at hand. And he's more focused on the task at hand than the comfort of everyone involved. I'm very focused on keeping things calm and peaceful. He's more comfortable even with intensity or emotions that aren't always filtered. Neither of us is right. Neither of us is wrong. We're just uniquely different. So it really shouldn't have surprised us when we discovered that our child had some of these extra needs, that we would struggle to get on the same page there as well. I also came into this situation and this journey of parenting our high-need child with a background in mental health, which gave me an added layer of understanding about when and how to seek support. Asking for help didn't carry the same weight or even the same stigma for me. After all, it was part of my training and my career. My husband, on the other hand, is a rancher, and if I'm being honest, there can be a very real, you might call it a we can handle this ourselves mindset that comes in that world. Doctors, diagnoses, and mental health conversations feel pretty unfamiliar and uncomfortable in that realm. My readiness to seek help was shaped by my personality, my life experiences, my learning style, and my professional background. His hesitations were shaped by his. Acknowledging those differences was incredibly important for us in our journey. Over time, he grew in understanding and acceptance. And I know he would tell you today, because we've had this conversation even just recently, and he admitted that he had to work through kind of a layer of embarrassment, fear of judgment, getting rid of some of that stigma so that he could gain new insight into things that didn't come naturally to him. As a result, we were able to make some real progress. We've found tools we can both use, strategies that reduce meltdowns, empower our child, and work within his strengths and needs. No, we don't always do it perfectly, and not always the same way. But now I can say we have a much clearer game plan. And these are the very things I love sharing with families inside the Calm Connection program. It's incredibly powerful to hear parents say, we're starting to work better as a team, and to watch families as they start finding that steadier ground together. So with that in mind, let's talk about 4 key reasons parents often find themselves on different pages, and what can help you move forward with more understanding in unity. Before we move into what can actually help when you and your spouse are in different places, I want to pause for just a moment and share a resource I'm genuinely excited about because it supports parents who are already feeling stretched thin and overwhelmed. If you're a busy working mom who feels overwhelmed, pulled in 1,000 directions, and sometimes unsure how to support your child while managing everything else life is asking of you, I want to invite you to something really special. Over 28 experts are coming together for the Busy Working Moms Blueprint Summit. That's right, this is a free expert-led series designed to help you plan your week with more ease, reclaim quality family time, and be more present without the guilt. This summit covers the real challenges you face parenting in the midst of overwhelm, time management, burnout, and self-care, all with practical strategies you can actually use, even when you have a really full schedule. I'm honored to be one of those 28 speakers, and in my session, You're Not Failing, You're Missing the Right Tools, I'm going to be sharing how understanding your child's unique wiring can make parenting feel more manageable, even when you're already exhausted. Again, the summit is completely free, but you do need to save your seat to get access. You can find the registration link in the show notes or visit calmconnectionparenting.org, and you'll find the link in the banner. I really hope you'll join us. But whether or not you join us in the summit, I want to leave you with some practical ways to move forward right now, especially if you and your spouse are standing in different places. Once we understand why this disconnect happens, the next question becomes, what actually helps? Let's talk about 4 things that can make a real difference. First, learn about personalities. And I want to tell you why this matters so much. Understanding personality is one of the most powerful starting points for understanding yourself, your spouse or co-parent, and your child. It's so foundational that it's actually the very first thing we explore inside the Calm Connection coaching program. Personalities give you kind of a template, a lens for how someone might think, communicate, problem solve, handle stress, maybe even their strengths or potential struggles and emotional needs. And honestly, who wouldn't benefit from that kind of clarity? When you understand personality differences, it becomes easier to see why your spouse might approach challenges differently, what they may need in order to move forward, and how the two of you can better meet your child's needs together, even if you don't naturally think the same way. Second, have an honest conversation about where each of you is right now. This isn't about convincing or correcting each other. It's just about understanding. Ask your spouse what they need in order to feel most supported in this parenting journey. Then ask if they're willing to hear what you need. Be as honest as you can and keep it non-threatening because then their defenses are down. Yes, this is where that helpful I language really matters. You might say something like, I feel overwhelmed and I think I need to find support for how to parent through these tough issues. Or I feel nervous about seeking help. If you feel like you need that support now, can you give me a few weeks before I join you? I encourage you to share your thoughts and feelings without assigning meaning to the other person's actions or assuming intent. When we can speak from our own experience instead of from frustration or fear, we create space for connection instead of defensiveness. Third, I want to encourage you to accept that you may be on different paths right now. And that may require adjusting your expectations as you work toward a compromise. Maybe you agree to seek support together. Or maybe you begin by attending on your own until your spouse feels ready. Maybe you decide to check in weekly about how each of you is feeling and whether you're open or needing to take those next steps. It is okay for you to seek the help you need, even if it takes your spouse some time to reach clarity or acceptance about what they need. Different timelines do not mean different levels of love or commitment. Fourth, remember that with practice, you can learn to parent with unity. Unity doesn't mean identical thinking. It means working together intentionally. That might look like discussing disagreements away from your child. Maybe using a code word when you don't agree with how a situation is being handled in the moment with your child. Maybe it's sharing tools you're finding helpful instead of just insisting that they be used. It has taken time to get you to this point in your parenting journey. And while it might feel easier if you both had the same brain, you actually bring something powerful when you combine different perspectives. But it takes practice. You will make mistakes, and then you will have to learn how to correct and make things right. That's not failure. That's growing together. And you can get better at this together. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, we really need help learning how to do this, not just understanding it, I want you to know that that support exists, and you don't have to navigate this alone. I'd like to tell you about a way that I support families who want to build calm, confident connection and learn how to work together more intentionally. I'd like to share this. You know you need to learn effective ways to handle your child's big emotions and challenging behaviors. But it feels like it's going to take so much time, money, and energy that you just don't have. Thankfully, that's not the case. The Calm Connection Parent Coaching Program will show you how to understand your child's wiring, calm the intense emotions, and manage those challenging behaviors with simple tools that actually work. Think of it as your shortcut. No more endless hours of research, expensive appointments, or sleepless nights worrying if things will ever get better. This is just what you've been waiting for, and quite possibly the answer to your prayers. Let's arm you with the best tools to help you parent your child to be all they were created to be. Join me at calmconnectionparent.com. And let's get you back to the peaceful, loving, joy-filled family life you imagined. It's easier than you think, and you don't have to do it alone. That's right. Pardon me. A new group is starting soon, and I would welcome you to join us. I have a couple scholarships available to those who are interested, so please message me as soon as possible to take this opportunity for growth and support. Now, as we wrap up today, I want to leave you with this encouragement. If you and your co-parent or spouse aren't on the same page right now, it does not mean you're failing as parents. It means you're human and you're navigating something that requires learning, patience, and some time. Parenting a child with extra needs stretches us in ways we never, ever anticipated. It asks us to grow, not just in skill, but in understanding, compassion, and most importantly, teamwork. And that growth rarely happens all at once. You don't have to agree on everything to move forward together. Sometimes progress looks like listening a little longer. Sometimes it looks like giving each other space to process. And sometimes it looks like taking the next small step, even if you're not fully aligned yet. What matters most is that you keep coming back to the same shared goal, supporting your child with love intention, and care. So if today's episode helped you name something you've been carrying quietly, let that be a starting point. Keep the conversation open and stay curious. Give yourself grace as you learn what works for your family, even if that means taking steps to finding support on your own or until they're ready. You're doing meaningful work, even on the days it feels messy and hard. And remember, you don't have to walk this road alone. Support, clarity, and connection are possible, and just one step at a time. I'll see you back here next week. I hope today's episode gave you a breath of fresh air, maybe a bit of hope too. If this encouraged you, would you please take a moment to follow and leave a quick review? It helps this much needed message of calm and connection reach more families. And if you're looking for additional resources, be sure to visit calmconnectionparenting.org and check out the podcast tab. There you'll find a variety of free resources waiting just for you. Until next week's episode, take a deep breath, grab that fresh cup of coffee, and remember, you've got this. And on the days you don't, well, we're in it together.